kind of going to the chat to scroll through it.
And we're live. Hello. Welcome back to the Raptors Report podcast. I'm your host, Julian. Joining me, as always, is none other than at Raptor Shack, aka Steve. How you doing, Steve? Are you excited for the start of the regular season?
How's it going, Julian? Fired up would be an understatement. It has been a long off season, way more boring than it was sold to us. And it is finally here.
Oh my God, Shams. He'll never live that down. He will
No,
never live
honestly.
down. This is going to pop off. This is going to be the biggest. What was the actual words that he used? He said something
I
like,
think he said like the craziest
Right.
off season of all time or that we've ever seen or something like that.
yeah, I guess. I mean, I love how he said that and then immediately went into like some rinky dink signing, like some garbage like thing that nobody cared about.
Yeah.
Like you can't sort of lead off like that and then sell your like if that's what you're going with, you got to lead with something that's like really strong that people are actually going to care about.
Yeah.
Not some
I think
garbage.
he had what he considered good intel on Giannis.
True. Okay. All right. Well, I'm always down to throw shade at Shams. He's not my favorite, so we can rag on him all day, even if it's not true. If it's not true, we'll make we'll allow people to just shoot on him.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Talk
there's
smack.
no consequences to making it up.
No, exactly. Yeah, we won't be held accountable. Anyway, I'm so hyped. I've been waiting for this for so long. We're finally back. The regular season is right around the corner. And I want to get to that. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the matchup against the Atlanta Hawks, which is going to be happening tomorrow at 7:30. I want to talk about what we've seen from the team. So the preseason results. We're going to be getting into what the kind of national media has been talking about regarding the Raptors. Some Eastern Conference projections, where the Raptors stand or where people think that they stand. And here's a little spoiler. People are low on the Raptors. So we're going to have to, make some corrections here. We're going to have to inform you guys about what we think the Raptors are going to do this season. Cause I've been looking through a lot of these things and they're not being very nice. In any case,
I had to bite my tongue like crazy today. I was like, what do you mean 11th? What do you mean 12th? So
yeah, exactly. It's a tough scene here, but the only way you can change people's minds is by, doing well, winning games, making people eat crow. That's how it works. So why don't we start off with the preseason? I did a little wrap up of the preseason, as you know, like I do a show after every game, but I want to talk with you, Steve. I want to pick your brain. What do you think about the Toronto Raptors and what you saw from them in preseason?
the newcomers looked awesome. So that was a huge plus. Ingram, Mamu, CMB, all look fantastic. It's not great that CMB got a little bump. That's fine. It's nothing major. But the newcomers
Even
looked
Chucky
awesome.
Hepburn.
So, yeah, Chucky looked fantastic. There were a lot of people talking about, oh, is he going to challenge Shed? Is he going to like? That's a really good conversation to have, and really good like pressure to have on your backup point guard. So that's great. Um, on the concerning side of things, the majority of Scotty's minutes until that last game did not look good offensively. So that doesn't feel good. But of course, he saved his best for last and bullied the Nets a little bit there.
Yeah, absolutely. That was oh my God, that was like manna from heaven. People were just like,
Exactly.
oh, thank Jesus, like an oasis.
We needed
People
it so
were
bad.
like, as soon as you see the on Twitter or social media, people start talking about like commenting under the box scores or like, what
Yeah.
happened here? Yeah,
Yeah.
you start feeling the heat, especially if it's they're talking about your boy or your favorite team, you know? So
Exactly.
okay, so let's what I saw from the team. So the defense, that was number one. The thing that I was like super impressed with was the Toronto Raptors defense. What they were doing,
Yeah.
like how disruptive they were. I know that people were expecting them to be, pressure the ball a lot. We saw that last season, but it was really effective. I really like that. I think the
Hmm.
transition offense looked really good because that was a problem last season. And on the negative side, the half court offense kind of looked shaky, especially in that
Yeah.
Celtics game. What did you see
Yeah.
from that Celtics game that maybe worried you a little bit?
Yeah. Which Celtics game? There were two, right? But they didn't play
Well,
the starters in one, right?
yeah. I mean, the more
Yeah.
recent one, which was like a bit more serious, because the Celtics played a lot of their starters major minutes as well. So
Yeah. Yeah. It does look clunky in the half court offense. We know that that's not what they're intending to be their bread and butter. They seem to be leaning more towards a transition on offense, and for all intents and purposes, that looked pretty good. They were getting those hit ahead passes pretty easily, so that looked promising. But uh, yeah, in the half court, there's still a lot of clunkiness between them. But again, that game didn't have Yak in it, right?
true.
He only played the one game. He is so important to how that half court offense works. Even if you have like a good spacer out there like Mamu or somebody with them, or maybe a bit more mobile guy like Mobo, but Yak just having that presence and setting real screens
Yes, that's
because
the thing.
nobody else really sets a real screen. Yeah, that opens things up for guys to operate everything. So my concerns were a little bit like quashed, being like, okay, well, I mean, that's how they look, but that's how they look without one of their most impactful players. Do I really care? But it does bode very badly if Yak is at all injured, right?
He did play against the Celtics there.
Okay, so that was
Yeah, that
sorry,
was the game that he did play against the Celtics.
and then he sat the Nets.
Yeah, no, he played against the Nets as well. Oh no, wait, yeah,
Oh,
no, he sat against the Nets. He sat against the Nets, but
okay,
yeah, he definitely played against because I remember doing the like thank you Jesus like staring into the sunset when
okay,
I showed the starting lineup. He had to leave early in against the Nets, which is why
okay,
Scotty had to play the five in the fourth quarter when he didn't
right,
have to, and he didn't shoot very well. But yeah,
right.
he played against the Celtics as well, but then the starting lineup did not perform very well. So, but yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. Like without Yak setting those screens and stuff, I think that the problem with that against the Celtics was that the spacing was really bad, and they didn't really know how to exploit the
Hmm.
Celtics how they were covering them. So,
Yeah,
you know, it's a work in progress for sure. Um, but yeah, I think the preseason was okay. I don't think it can tell you too much, except for maybe just in general how the team looks. And they finished with a 4-2 record, and they played the bench quite a bit, and we got to see a bunch of different looks. My
hmm,
favorite interesting look was with Scotty at the five in the last game against the Nets. I thought it looked really cool. Him with all the spacing around him, being able to use his quickness to attack the basket. I thought that was really neat. But yeah, that's I don't think we need to talk too much about the preseason. Do you? I think we've been kind of
yeah,
discussing that. So why don't
yeah.
we
No,
move,
no.
unless you have any final thoughts on the preseason, why don't we move to some of the predictions for the regular season and the Eastern Conference. So I've compiled, like I pulled up about six of these projections. And so why don't we cut to that? right here. And we'll start off with the CBS Sports for the full standings in the Eastern Conference. So they break it up into two. And there's one breath of fresh air. And I actually worked with this guy, James Herbert. We go
Okay,
back.
cool.
Yeah. So he was the lone person that put the Toronto Raptors in the top 8. So as you can see here, everybody, I think actually maybe I can just expand this quickly here without cutting you off. Hold on a sec. Sorry, this is a bit of a. Okay, yeah, it doesn't really matter. None of them put the Raptors in the top 8 except my boy James Herbert, and he put him in at a pretty, you know, conservative 7, which I
Hmm.
guess, you know, you don't want to seem like the crazy person. Put them all the way up at 4, where some people would, me would have them, but the rest of them have them at 1 at 9, a bunch at 11, 2 at 9, a bunch at 11, and 2 at 7. Okay, so Jasmine Wimbish, I've never heard of you, but you know, you're all right with me. Okay, so that's CBS Sports. And they don't really have anything to say about where the Raptors are going to end up, but they basically everything else here is we'll just do a quick Control F. I didn't see anything on the Raptors. Yeah, nothing else on the Raptors. Okay, so let's move along to the trending topics. NBA standings predictions for the Eastern Conference. Okay, so here's crazy time here. This is all of their top 10s. Okay, not one. So Steve Ashburner, who is like the weird Wilt guy on he's obsessed with Wilt Chamberlain, and he was the guy who kept putting Scotty Barnes below like Evan Mobley and who was it? The Rockets Jalen Green
Oh,
on the what's it called, rookie of the year,
yeah,
over and over and over again. So he already
yeah.
has my enmity. Not in the top 10 there. John Schumann, not in the top 10. Sean Powell, not in the top 10. Brian Martin, not in the top 10. There is not one mention of the Toronto Raptors. Let me just do a Control F here. Okay, here we go. The Pacers feel a little like the 2019-2020 Raptors lost their best player. So that's it. Okay, the Sixers, Celtics, and Raptors last team out. So he would have had them 11. John Schumann are the toughest teams to predict. So there you
Okay.
go. Already we are getting disrespected here, in my opinion.
I'm seeing a lot of Milwaukee in top 6 and top
Yeah.
5, and I just don't see it.
How are they
I
gonna? Yeah,
I
exactly.
just it's Giannis and that's it. How much? Like I don't get it. They're acting like Dame was almost a non-factor to their success last year.
He
Like
balled out for them for
I don't
part of the season.
understand
He
it.
was the only guy who could make shots, and then when he went down, like their entire team imploded.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got Miles Turner. Is he like so much of an upgrade over Brooke Lopez that he's going to carry this team, carry that backcourt? I mean,
It doesn't make sense to me. If you switched anybody's like lead like star point guard for Kevin Porter Jr., you're gonna tell me that they're gonna not flinch in the standings?
no,
Crazy talk to me.
it's nuts. It seems like people were just looking at the standings last year and being like, okay, well, I don't want to rock the boat too much.
Yeah.
Here's what I think. So not one person here has them in the top 10. Not one. Okay,
It's
let's
good
look
to
at
be the
this.
underdog. It's good to be underestimated. It's
Overlooked. There you go. Okay.
yeah.
So this one has a bit more of an in-depth. So NBC Sports, who are back, they are back with the NBA. They have actual NBA games on NBC, which has been a very long time. Most people who are watching this, I would say, maybe a lot of them were never alive during
Hmm.
the time when NBC had what's it called? The NBA on NBC.
Yeah,
So
it was what, like 2001 or 2002 or
something
something
like
was the
that.
last time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was watching a bit of the broadcast of Houston and Oklahoma.
Oh
Nice
yeah.
broadcast.
That's
Real
awesome.
nice. Yeah.
was putting the kids to bed, so I couldn't really. But I love the Round Ball Rock
Yeah.
song. Do you know who made that? The guy John Tesh, the guy who did
Yeah. John
Entertainment
Tesh.
Tonight. If you remember that,
Yeah.
like anyway, so
See,
weird.
now I don't know if you've ever seen Tim Robinson's version of it
Of
from
course, yeah,
SNL.
where
It
he's
is.
the
I
brother, I
can't.
think,
Yeah,
who's
he's his
like,
brother.
yeah, ba 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 ba
Yeah,
basketball. Of course,
exactly. Now I can't not hear that every time
no,
it plays, but it's good to hear it again. It's
yeah,
a
go
different vibe entirely. It seems like they like versus like TNT where it's like, did they even like the
no,
NBA?
or
Where it's
ES,
like
no, no,
this
no.
is like,
TNT isn't even that bad. ESPN
oh, ESPN
is
is awful.
garbage. They finally got rid of what's his name, the former.
Skip?
No, they got rid of the former GM of the Warriors, Bob Myers,
Oh, Bob
who is
Myers.
just a corpse at the desk. Like the
Yeah,
guy could not carry a conversation. He was
yeah.
so boring, and just like didn't seem to know what he was talking about. Like
No,
it
he
was,
said he would just say stuff that was like, what? Like
and
that didn't happen.
it was like at least with like Stephen A. Smith and to a certain extent Perk, although I don't like him very much either. They're like saying stuff that like will get clicks, and you can be like, oh,
Yeah.
well, that's why they're saying it because they want people to pay attention to them. Bob Myers is like saying wrong stuff in like the most monotone way possible. So it's like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Why are you
Yeah.
even there? Anyway, okay, so let's take a look at this. This season, nobody is giving the Eastern Conference a chance. Underestimate these teams at your own peril. Which teams can not only make the finals, but threaten the Thunder, Nuggets, or whoever comes out of the West? Okay, so title contenders, they have the Cavs and the Knicks. No surprise there. They should probably be the two best teams in the Eastern Conference. Then they have the Magic and the Hawks. Okay. Playoffs or bust. Bucks. Okay. It just seems like nobody is doing the research. I don't understand it. I mean, I love Giannis as much as the next guy. He's probably top 3 in the NBA, but he's
Yeah.
literally like, if you took him off that team, they would be the worst team in the league. Easily the worst team in the
Yeah.
league.
Oh yeah. How many negative players can you surround a good player with
Yeah.
and still expect to win?
Who would be their best player? Miles Turner? Miles Turner
Yeah,
would be the
Miles
best.
Turner would be their best player, and then
AJ Green.
yeah, Cole Anthony.
Oh yeah, I didn't mind that
I
signing by
yeah,
them, but
like that's fine. He should probably end up taking over for their lead point guard unless Ryan Rollins, I
oh
don't know,
yeah,
he's kind of interesting, right? But
yeah,
oh,
that
it's awful. It's
it's
crazy.
crazy. And they just released that like that franchise has not signed one of their own first round picks since Giannis Antetokounmpo to a second contract.
Hmm.
That is insane. That's
Yeah, because
crazy
the
mismanagement.
guys they pick these high ceiling teenagers who have like a floor that is so unknown,
Yeah.
and then they don't work out, and they go,
Well,
sorry,
whatever. Yeah,
move
exactly.
them. Like
Okay, so
what?
Bucks. So Magic and Hawks. I can see both of those teams. We'll see because I'm curious about. We'll get to the Hawks later, but Magic, yeah. Pistons, sure. 76ers, like really, like I get it. Embiid is supposedly healthy. Paul George is supposedly healthy. I'll believe it when I see it. And then the hopeful play-in teams. They have the Raptors at 10. They have the Heat and Celtics above them, then the Bulls, Pacers, Hornets, then the Wizards, and the Nets. And let me just do a quick Control F for Raptors. Okay, the Bulls and the Raptors are teams that maybe we're underestimating. Well, at least you said it. But I'm not sold. Toronto has a fair amount of talent. Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly, but a lot of it overlaps. There are smart basketball minds that think this is a playoff team in the East. I need to be convinced. Chicago locked up Giddey this summer and has some talent around him with Kobe White, Mattis Bazelis, and rookie Noah Senge. But this is a team retooling. Okay, we don't even need to read that. Why? I don't know why I'm reading the Bulls. But okay, I mean, at least he's admitting, Kurt Halen, at least he's admitting that maybe he's underestimating them. And he put them at 10th instead of 11th. So, okay. Now we get to sporting news. Sporting news, for whatever reason, is like associated with the NBA. Have you ever noticed, like when you click on NBA.com, you get the sporting news?
Yeah,
Like what happened?
I don't know how that is because it's so annoying.
It's
Every time I
annoying.
like
It's
type it, I'm
weird.
like, oh, yeah,
So bizarre. So let's see what they have to say. I mean, they have control of the NBA's website. Let's see if they actually know what they're talking about. Oh, okay. Well, this is a little bit better. So they have the Toronto Raptors at 8th. Let's see. They have the Bucks above them. Sixers behind them, but there's, of course, they have the play-in tournament. And let's do a quick Control F for the Toronto Raptors. Okay, let's hear what they have to say. The Raptors should be a much better team after finishing with only 30 wins last year. They were doomed by injuries and an 8-31 start last season that made them pivot to tanking. There's real talent on this roster though, and they should improve by 10 or more wins this year. Hell yeah. Let's go. Let's
That's
hear
nice.
who wrote this. Steven No. Okay.
Oh, Steph, no?
Steph No. Yeah.
That guy's good. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. He's yeah. And now we
And
go to the
maybe I just
Athletic.
think he's good because he agrees with me, but
There you go. That's how, of course, he's good if he agrees with you. That's how it works, right? Okay. So now we're on the Athletic. Let's hear what they have to say. So tier 1. So this is actually a full ranking of the whole NBA. So they have the Toronto Raptors. So let's just go through. Okay. See, yep. The Clippers. What? Okay.
yeah.
That is insane.
Another team that's like they have to be completely healthy.
What?
Like
Hold on. Golden State Warriors 3?
I've seen that because they were really, really good when Jimmy got there. Like from the point where Jimmy joined the team, like they
Yeah.
also had um the first best defense after the All-Star break
Okay. I
in terms
mean,
of like defensive rating.
he does
Yeah,
call them
it
the
was
olden state with the G in brackets. So that's pretty funny. And then we just keep going down. They have Magic at 7, Lakers 8, the Cavs at 9. Okay, so they have the Magic above the Cavs. They have the Raptors all the way down below the Kings.
ooh,
Spicy take. And here they are. Toronto Raptors. Let's hear what he has to say. Or they. I don't know who wrote this. Last ranking, 23rd. So they've moved up. 8th in the East, eliminated in the play-in tournament by the Pistons and the Bucks. Get out of here. What a conflict we have here. The most ethical of the tanking teams in the East a season ago. The Raptors are set to debut Brandon Ingram this season in a lineup that already has a surplus of on-ball players led by Scotty Barnes. Head coach Darko Rajakovic has established an offense where the Raptors live in the paint and get every field goal they can with an assist. Ultimately, this team is too talented in the East to tank. It will be in the mix and should be healthier than last season. But who is this team playing through? Ingram, Barnes, RJ Barrett? Oh my God, 3 players who can handle the ball. It just won't work. The late game offensive identity combined with, what does that mean? The late game offensive identity.
so I guess clutch scoring.
Maybe. I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me. Combined with maybe the league's highest foul rate. I mean, that is an apt criticism. It's going to make some high stakes games tricky at the end. Oh, okay. So they're saying that like there's a lot of players who can score in the clutch, although I don't know if that's true. That might
Or
be one
maybe
of their
there's
weaknesses.
yeah, I don't get it. Like I mean I don't know what they said about the Magic, but the Magic have 3 guys who need the ball.
Yeah.
That
Bane.
seems
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. I mean, sure. Listen, I think people don't want to go out on a limb here. And there is a
Yeah.
guy, somebody who is willing to go out on a limb, and we'll show that video because it's pretty good. And
Mhm.
it's from some, reputable people, not just,
Yeah. See, and
podcasters.
I I think the Raptors used to make people look smart when they took the overs.
Yeah.
They used to always be the thing. It was like, oh, you could just hit that over and look, I was a genius the whole time. Now they're second in the conference, and then they've tanked several years, and maybe people said, okay, I'm not going to look like an idiot again. I'm going to rate them low. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they're all, we'll teach them to start betting the overs again. And now we'll just go to the odds. So these are the bookmakers. These are the people who are actually, putting money on the line here. And I don't condone gambling, but we'll see what they have to say. So this is BetMGM. You've seen all the ads, as if Jamie Foxx needed more money. He is there pretending to be like 5 different people. Okay, so here's the odds. So let's count the teams. Cavs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So they have the Raptors at 11. And basically they say that they're still like they're within the realm of possibility. So they have like plus 5,000. So that is like the odds that you're going to be getting on that. I think it's like a 500% return on your bet if you bet that. As opposed to like the teams that are just like they consider dog water. So like the Hornets, the Bulls, the Nets, the Wizards, those teams are all considered garbage. So they're above the garbage, but they're at the bottom of the okay. So that is not what you want to see. And that's from the bookmakers. So they're putting some money on the line there. So all in all, that is not a very rosy picture being painted by the national media, by the odds makers, by, people who have opinions on basketball in general. What's your take? I think it's too low for sure. But
Yeah.
what do you think?
I think it's too low. And like as Blackhawk says in the chat, media bias against the Raptors, it always feels like that. It feels like, I mean, especially this year, going to have even less national TV games. A lot of these people literally don't even watch the team, right? So I think it's too low. I think they've added 3 potentially, like I know for sure 2 positive players in CMB and Brandon, potentially 3 if Mamu keeps cooking how he is. That's a substantial upgrade. You're swapping out Grady's minutes for Ingram's minutes. You're swapping Grady onto the bench, which improves the bench scoring. You're swapping a lot of Mobo's minutes for Colin Murray-Boyle's minutes. You're swapping Bruno Fernando for Mamu. There's like
That
even
might be
just
the
like the
biggest upgrade.
honestly,
And that's
you're
not
not.
even, I'm not even gassing up Mamu here.
I know, right? But just Bruno Fernando, Orlando Robinson, and Colin Castleton, all of those guys, their minutes are being replaced by a more capable player. So like all those little micro upgrades could equal a couple of wins. And as we talked about with S last week, is that there was like 20 or so games where it was come down to clutch moments where it was like less than 5, whatever, right? A lot of close games were lost. And now you bring in a more go-to scorer like Brandon, who could keep them in a lot more of those games. So I think there's a chance, as they said in the one article, for a 10-win swing, right?
Yeah. And I also think that like knock on wood, health and a lot of the health, quote unquote, health problems that the team had last year were simply, they were like, we don't want to win these games.
Yeah.
Let's just,
It was
yeah, you seem
exactly, it was
tired.
resting.
Have a seat on the
Exactly.
bench, like Emmanuel quickly. Yeah, take your
Yeah.
time. So I I think with health and with the new players being able to play, I think this is going to be a good team this year. So let's hear. This is probably one of the national media's the guys who are higher on the Raptors, and so Sam Vecini, he is a lot. He's a draft guy, number
Yep.
one, but he has a podcast where he talks with a bunch of people. But the guy he has on his show here,
Bryce.
Bryce, is really high on the Toronto Raptors defense. So let's give a listen and just, we can skip around and pause it and whatnot and hear what he has to say. I don't want to play all 13 minutes, but we'll give you a little taste of what he's saying and let him cook a bit.
In turnovers forced this season, not the Oklahoma City Thunder or anybody else, the Toronto Raptors. They were 8th last season in turnovers forced. Again, this is not steals, Sam. This is turnovers forced, which I think is an important distinction.
Let's just pause there because obviously the Toronto Raptors with Jamal Shed and oh my God, why can't I remember? Traded to the Heat. Davion Mitchell. Those guys were and are elite at drawing offensive fouls.
I was watching the Raptors Celtics preseason game earlier today, and in the first quarter alone, they forced 3 turnovers that were not steals. They either forced offensive fouls or the ball bounced out of bounds or whatever. They were 8th in all of last season. 2, and this is where I think this is a hot take considering Oklahoma City still plays in this league. They were 2 per game behind the Thunder, but they were 3rd post All-Star break. They've been good in the preseason, and every summer league note I have is about how this team is picking up full court and pressuring and jumping past the lanes and double teaming when they can. And you just go through the roster, and there's a lot of players that I think really play into this. There's some that don't, but Barnes is more than 1 steal a game. RJ Barrett's best steals or second best steal season was with Toronto. Jakob Poeltl's won a game. Grady Dick's right below that. IQ is a super speedy guy. Ingram is long. Abaji, Shed, Mobo, Walter, CMB if he gets on the floor. And I just think that this is how they want to play because.
Okay, so just going through the roster, like he is correct in that like the Raptors have a style, like a kind of guy that they like, and they're hoping, at least I think this is what they're hoping for, is to have like a critical mass of guys who like to steal the ball. Yeah. And the idea is that if you have a bunch of those guys, you can stop other teams from, being able to cross half court. They can stop teams from being able to make easy passes. They can, make teams think twice about setting a hard screen. They can really kind of like the idea of being an aggressive defense is that you are setting the tone. You're the team that is doing the aggression. You are on the other team. So I think that's pretty cool. And like we saw the blueprint last season, the team that was doing that literally won the championship.
Yeah.
So
exactly. And Jamal Shed spent the summer training with Alex Caruso. And he said he learned a lot from Davion Mitchell about drawing those offensive fouls and all that stuff around the screen, right? Like it seems like a lot of guys spent the summer locking in on defense and trying to strengthen themselves as defenders, because I don't know if you remember last year, kind of like year before, Darko was really emphasizing being able to just guard your yard and just like be able to not get beat alone. So I think he put that challenge out to a lot of players, was like, okay, can you establish yourself as a stronger defender? And that in itself will help the whole team. And it seems like a lot of guys spent the summer doing that.
Yeah, no, they definitely have, like they're working together, and I think that it's gonna have a harmonious effect. I think that the more players you have like that on defense, the stingier you're going to be on defense. And I think that it's kind of like when you watch the Thunder play, that's the idea, is that they're rolling, 10 deep with guys who can go out there and pick you up full court and get in passing lanes and smack the ball out of your hands. There are so many guys that are just going to dog you. So let's keep listening.
That half-court offense could be a little rough. So forcing turnovers and getting out in transition could be a real push from the team. So my first one is the Toronto Raptors lead the NBA in turnovers forced in 2025-2026.
It's interesting. I like it. I think there's a decent chance of this happening.
Okay, and then he goes on, they talk about how the Toronto Raptors are going to make the playoffs.
I feel like he wasn't involved for a long time.
Guard him consistently some level. Hasn't given me some doubts. A few on the talent incoming around him.
Okay, here we go.
Shooting in the preseason, and more than anything to me, it's felt like he has been the player that has had to adjust to the talent income.
Sorry, they're talking about Scotty Barnes here, so that he's the one who had to adjust rather than Brandon Ingram
coming around him. Instead of like Toronto having Brandon Ingram adjust to what's happening, it feels like Scotty is adjusting to what's happening.
But I wanted to get to
stagger guys in order
Sorry, I should
Know
have
that
clipped
he
this.
went 8 for 22
No
against
worries.
the Celtics, and like the fit the idea that you said in terms of how they want to play on defense. Mobo fits that idea on how they want to play on defense.
CMB.
Yeah, CMB definitely fits that idea. Jacoby Walter and Grady Dick are very real, like offensive pieces at the very least. I think that these guys are just so deep with talent that they're going to be able to kind of wear things out in the regular season a little bit.
And I think you and I are obviously building off of each other's ideas. It's kind of funny that the Raptors are getting the first 20 minutes of this part of the episode, but that's why I do think they can be like, I just think they're going to torch some teams. I always say February. I don't know why I say February, January, whatever, like those doldrum games, where, a team's on the road or, whatever comes to Toronto on, whatever, like their style. And then they just have so many guys that can play into that style. I'm with you that I think they're going to be a successful regular season team. I'm not quite as high as you, but I'm higher, like very strong over on them. They were actually my first pick in the draft. Shout out me. Should have taken the first pick, Sam. And but I have worries about what that means long-term and in the playoffs, right? Like that.
Okay. So we'll cut it off there before he gets into the like future stuff where he's not as positive about the team. But basically the idea that they're talking about is kind of like what we've been saying, which is that the defense looks real. It looks like it is something that could be, something that could really surprise a lot of teams. I think that a lot of teams, when you go and play a bad team, you're expecting them to roll over, right? A lot of teams will maybe, they see all the projections, Toronto 11th in the Eastern Conference. That's what they're projected. They're going to think, okay, well, we don't have to bring our A game here. And they are going to get shocked by how just aggressive the Raptors are going to be at trying to just take the ball away from them. And I think that could like, the biggest thing about that, I think, is that it is a style that is frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's going to make you angry to play against it. It's going to make you super like these tryhards are turning us over again and again. Maybe they're going to get mad at the refs because they're not calling enough fouls, or you're going to get mad at, like the coach for not coming up with some way of breaking, like of giving you an easy basket. You're going to get mad at yourself because you couldn't hold on to the ball. That's the kind of thing that I think could snowball. And as I said, just like lead to regular season success. And if it builds off of itself, maybe that identity will help carry them even when they're not as strong in other areas.
Definitely. Like if you look at the Magic last year, right? Pretty successful regular season despite having a lot of injuries to their guys. And their MO was a really strong, aggressive defense, like very tenacious. And they had like a bottom five offense otherwise, but they were still able to get so many wins from being a very gritty team. And when you look at the personnel in their team, I would say maybe Jonathan Isaac and Jalen Suggs are potentially better defenders than anybody that the Raptors have.
Yeah.
But other than that, like Franz is a great defender, but other than that, they didn't have like the defensive talent that OKC had, right? But they just had everybody bought into this identity of that, right?
And
so
they're also like they did the Raptors thing because Jeff Weltman is their GM, and they went out and got a whole bunch of guys with long arms,
exactly,
and a lot of wings and stuff to be able to play that kind of style. But you're absolutely right.
Right. So if they were able to, fight their way through the regular season with that, with losing Paolo for 20 plus games, losing Franz for 20 plus games, losing Suggs for like 40 games, right? Barely getting anything out of Jonathan Isaac. Just that having a strong defensive identity like that can carry you through the regular season. It's going to be a different story if they make the playoffs, and you got to see how that kind of translates in that sense. I think that's very matchup dependent who you end up with there. But I could totally see them gritting out a lot of games based off of that identity, which is an identity that they did not have for even the first half of last season and seasons before that, right?
No.
It was very much like, what is this team on defense?
Yeah, it was, and I mean, the roster was shambolic. It was just like
Yeah.
awful. They were playing,
Yeah.
Jordan Nwora and like all these other guys, like
Yeah.
40 minutes a game or whatever. But you're totally right. Like, and I think that a lot of the time, like having an identity, it doesn't even have to be a defensive identity. Like, look at what the Pacers did.
Yeah,
They were like the
exactly.
other way. They were a team
Yeah.
that was going to, play unselfish basketball 10 deep, but
Yeah.
like really push the pace and really try and score on you. And maybe you score on the other end, but they're going to come right back down and
Just run and gun. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and that's an identity that you can build off of. And maybe, I don't want to project too far down the road, count chickens before they hatch, but I think that it could be something where they continue to grow with this style. I think that could be very cool. So yeah, that was so we left. I ended on a high note there because there was a lot of like all those articles. Oh my God, I was starting to doubt myself. Like, am I just a homer? Like, do I? But then, thank you, Game Theory.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you, Sam Vecini. Thank you. What's his name again?
Bryce, I can't
Bryce.
remember his last name, but and again, Bryce, when he's talking about a tough defense, like he is a Pistons fan, a
Yeah.
Pistons lifer, right? So it means a little more to me coming from a guy that has watched a lot of strong, intense defenses that he sees that as a strength of this team, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like that used to be their whole thing.
Yeah.
Those early 2000s Pistons teams were
Yeah.
just I liked watching them, but they embodied that dead ball era. They got into you. There's some housekeeping. So some stuff has happened because obviously this is around the time you've seen it all over the league. People are extending their rookie scale contract players. So we saw it with Denver and Brown. We saw it with a couple of other teams. And the Toronto Raptors had an opportunity to extend Ochai Agbaji. But as Blake Murphy points out here, and RJ, that's correct. So they did not extend Ochai Agbaji. He's a restricted free agent, or RJ Barrett. He can be re-upped. He can sign an extension in the offseason. So that's like a big number one. I think it's not a surprise to have Ochai enter restricted free agency. I don't think they want to commit any more salary to anybody at this point before they figure out what they've got. And RFA is still very favorable for the team. Like it's always has been, it remains so. But RJ Barrett, that's a big thing for him, because if he wants to get a big extension, what does he got to do this season? He's got to play defense. He's got to make plays. He's got to shoot the three. He's got to, improve and be a second fiddle. And I think he's done pretty well in the preseason for sure.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a little wrinkle that you can talk about when projecting forward for the season.
Yeah. And in terms of Ochai, do you see them coming to an agreement once he hits RFA?
I think that is so context dependent. I think that there has to be, I think that he has to play well this season. I don't think that they're going to go out and try and get a value deal off of him if he's just a wishy-washy guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that he's a good culture fit. He seems like a nice guy. He seems like he gets along with everyone. So I'm not too worried there, but they've got a lot of guys. They've got a ton of players that fit, are in this similar, Jacoby Walter is kind of the heir apparent for that backup wing spot, or at least 3-and-D kind of guy. Is the hope is that he is the one who explodes into that role, and then they don't need Ochai Agbaji. But
which is why I'd probably tell Ochai, take the qualifying offer and stick around for another season on a cheap deal, and then you're free to go, right?
It could be like that, but then again, if Ochai comes in and he shoots around 40%, and he's a corner merchant, and he plays good, solid defense. And maybe even if I could foresee a world where the starting lineup that is currently exists right now doesn't work, and they say, listen, you got to come in for, Quickly or RJ or something to make the backcourt defense work. I could see that.
Yeah.
And if he excels in that role, they might just decide to go sign him. And then if, the opportunity arises in the future, they could try and trade him. So
Yeah.
I really think it's context. Like, I don't want to make a prediction this early, but he didn't look that good in preseason. Like, his defense is still pretty good, but he's just not hitting his shots. And I think he might need to go back to just being a corner guy.
Yeah. But the thing is, he already is playing seemingly rotation-wise a pretty important role. As we know, Darko likes to have Scotty as the first pull after playing 6 or so minutes, whatever. And his first off the bench is Ochai because you're trying to supplement for the defense that you give up when you take Scotty off the floor. In my opinion, there's only one other player on the roster that you could do that with, and that's a rookie, CMB, right?
Yeah.
So if he's not healthy yet, he's not ready yet, he's not that, you don't have another player that you can sub in for Scotty and expect that lineup to still hold up defensively. Like, picture swapping Scotty out for like Grady
Jacoby or Grady
or Jacoby, right? Like Jacoby is he's too skinny
small.
right
Yeah,
now.
he's too
Exactly,
small.
right? So any of those, and you're sliding that into now guard a power forward, which is like typically one of the best players in the league on any given night, because a lot of those guys won't be subbed out at the same time Scotty will. So like a Jokic will still be on the floor or whatever, a KD will still be on the floor, and you're bringing in somebody like Ochai to come defend that. And if you don't have that, you're pretty screwed, right? So
for sure.
he right now,
Ochai is like a physical guy. Like, you look at him and he's got those broad shoulders. He stands pretty tall. I mean, he's athletic, and you're absolutely correct. Like, the Raptors need a guy that can kind of, and there's, to a certain extent, like, I think that if you were going to bring in Jacoby, you just have RJ probably play up a position, because he is also pretty physical. So, but it will be interesting to see how Darko manages the minutes this season and figures out his rotation, because it will be pretty tough trying to determine who gets minutes and who doesn't. I mean, hopefully it's tough. Hopefully, the guys are playing well enough that he has some hard choices to make. Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to talk about, because this is the final sort of moment before the regular season starts, before the first game, we can sort of drill down on not just the schedule, but also just the game that's going to be happening tomorrow. The Atlanta Hawks are the team that the Raptors are going to be facing. And in a way, I think that this is like just an amazing sort of game for the purposes of seeing where the Raptors are at. Like, this is a good temperature test. Are the Raptors going to be competitive in this game? Are they going to be able to show their style? And is their style going to be effective against a team that every single one of those projections that we saw had the Atlanta Hawks at least in the top 6? They went out and they added Porzingis. They have guys coming back from injury. Jalen Johnson, like, he was really good for them before getting injured. They have a Zachary Rizache, who was obviously the first overall pick a couple years ago. They have a bunch of guys that, should... Oh, and another guy who was signed to that rookie scale contract extension, Dyson Daniels, who is like one of the best defenders in the league.
And Nickeil Alexander-Walker, another great wing defender. It's an amazing test for the Raptors because our two best players are wing forwards, and they're going to have incredible defenders against them. You're going to have Dyson probably taking on Ingram, and then you're going to have Jalen Johnson and Nah and everybody against Scotty. It's going to be a huge test. I could definitely see Scotty struggling against these physical, and especially if he has Dyson on him, very disruptive handsy player. That might be really tough. But yeah, it's a huge test to see where they are.
My worry is, so the Toronto Raptors like to operate inside. I don't think there's any, mystery there. They don't have, they have shooting, but their main guys like RJ, Scotty, Pirtle, those guys like to score around the rim. And they went out and they got a big, who is one of the best shot blockers in the league in Kristaps Porzingis. And I was kind of like, yeah, whatever. Like, he looked terrible for the Celtics. He has that like mystery disease that has kept him like on the sidelines for a while. But then he played for Latvia in the what's it called? The World Championships or whatever,
Eurobasket,
Eurobasket.
Yeah.
And he was playing really well. So
Mhm.
like, it looks like he's good to go, which is kind of a downer. I mean, good for him. I mean, it's good that he's not injured anymore, but it's for the purposes of the Toronto Raptors and where they sit, it's definitely not a good thing that they have a healthy Kristaps Porzingis if they're going up against him the first game of the season. Because if they pack the paint and they have one of those top tier rim protectors around the rim, like, are they going to be able to score? And that's what I'm kind of worried about in that game. Are the Hawks going to be able to shut down the paint? So, like, what is there any other things that we're sort of not taking into account here? Like, we've looked at the roster, but like, is there any kind of wrinkle that you could foresee in this game?
Well, I think that the matchup between Yak and Porzingis will be tough because I don't know if you remember last year, one of the healthy games that Porzingis had for them against us, he fried Yak on
Pick and
by
pop.
yeah, exactly right. And if Yak plays at all two drop, he just shoots a little jumper and he's pretty money with it, right? From that
Very
kind
money.
of like elbow extended kind of right. So that could be hell for the Raptors. It's going to be interesting to see if what we've seen out of IQ is very active defense, how that fares against Trae Young, very gifted ball handler, very gifted passer. You really have to keep up with him. Obviously, IQ has the speed to keep up with him, but they're going to be sending him picks. They're going to be doing a lot of pick and roll, and we really get to see early how the Raptors pick and roll defense will be in the half court as they're trying to play this aggressive style, right? Because if they're jumping Trey,
Yeah, he
then
can
he's going
make
to make that
plays. Yeah.
pass. Exactly, right? So they could really kill us on the short roll and stuff like that. Like I could see Jalen Johnson having a night, right?
Yeah.
Just off of these little two-man games with him. So I mean, there's that.
And that's a good point. I also think in terms of like the continuity aspect, like both teams are kind of entering the season with a new roster. Like the
Yeah.
Hawks last season are not the team that we're going to be seeing this season. They've got a lot of new pieces. They've got a lot of people returning from injury. They're going to be kind of figuring things out as well, along with the Raptors. And maybe that is a way that the Toronto Raptors, like, I don't want to say that they're more like together as a team, but maybe the style that they're playing, which is based off of creating turnovers,
Mm-hmm.
could be a little bit more easy to execute in the first game of the season than a team that's more about the half court, more about trying to, set up guys, find their spots, run your plays, make sure that, everybody's getting a taste, like finding out who is the first guy off of the bench, who's going to, like, how are you going to play off of one another. It seems like an easier game plan to execute where you are, trying to disrupt your opponent rather than having all your ducks in a row and being able to execute on offense, which I think is how the Hawks are going to beat the Raptors. Like, as you said, I think Jalen Johnson, like, the guy is money from many places on the floor.
Dunks everything, good catch and shoot player. Yeah.
Absolutely. And like can cook a little bit too. Like, I'm just worried that if they pay too much attention to Trey, or if they're trying to like stop Porzingis from catching the ball above the 3-point line, or, Yak is too far out of the paint because he's guarding Porzingis, then you get action going to the basket and then Jalen Johnson pops off, it just seems like there are ways that the Hawks can punish the Raptors
Mhm.
for playing their style. But at the same time, I think that maybe the Raptors style will be easier to execute on day one. That is the
Yeah.
important thing. Day one is a very important thing to keep in mind.
I think if you can get the ball in anybody but Trey's hands, then you can really disrupt stuff. I don't, Dyson doesn't have too crazy of a handle. Jalen Johnson doesn't have too crazy of a handle. Like
That's a good
Porzingis,
point. That's
very
a
tall.
very good point because
Exactly.
they don't have, like, if Toronto has too many, cooks in the
Hmm.
kitchen when it comes to like ball handling, the Hawks are very Trey oriented.
Yeah.
I mean, Nikhil Alexander Walker can handle it a little bit off of the
Hmm.
bench, and they've got some other guys too. But Dyson, he's not an on-ball guy
Yeah.
like Zachary Rizache. He's not really. He's more of a play finisher. Jalen
Exactly.
Johnson, he can create, but he's not like a point forward or something like that where you want him to
Yeah.
have the ball every time down the floor. He's not going to bring the ball up or anything like
Yeah.
that. So maybe the game plan will be that you get the ball out of Trey's hands and then force them to make plays with their other players and then hopefully get steals off of that and all that stuff. So it is going to be a really fun game to watch. I mean, they could be playing the Nets the first game, and I'd say it's going to be a fun game to watch. So
But yeah, like it's good. To me, it's good that it's not like a top two, top three team that they're facing right away. Because it's like if you come and you lose to the Cavs, what did you exactly learn?
right, exactly.
Who knows, right? But this, it's like they've got ambitions to be a lot closer to what this team wants to be, like to where the Hawks want to be, right? Like maybe the Raps want to be nestled in that playoff, like actually in a
Yeah,
6 or a 5 spot, right?
exactly. Yeah, they're going to have to beat teams like this if they want to be
Exactly. Yeah.
in that realm. Like, I think that the ambition for this team is that they don't want to be a play-in team. I think
Hmm.
they have higher ambitions. I think they want to be in the playoffs, like in that kind of 5-6, 4-5-6 area. And guess who's projected to be in there? The Hawks are. So
Hmm.
they gotta show that they've got some. If they don't win the game, they got to put a scare into them. They have to make it an
Yeah.
exciting game. They have to show that their style can match up with them. So that should be very interesting to watch. And now, last of all, we're going to take a look at the schedule and just the first 10 games of the season. And we're just going to kind of shoot on like what we're seeing from those games. So we just talked about the Hawks. I would say that it's in their building. I'm going to give it I think it's a 40-60 matchup. I think that the Hawks are favored. I think that there are a lot of ways that they could win the game. I think they've got a lot of options and weapons that could pop off at any time. And I think that I just think that the home team will be favored here. I think that,
Mhm.
but it's not, as we were saying, I don't think that this is going to be a whitewashing. I don't think that the Hawks are going to beat the pants off of them. I don't even feel confident in saying that the Hawks are just like going to win, but I think it's like a 40-60 matchup. Do you agree with that take?
Yeah, I would say it's it's looking like it'll be a close L.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they have the best player in the matchup, and you know, like I mean, they beat the
You have
Hawks.
Trey above, I'm not as high on Trey.
Hmm.
I think that maybe he is the best player in the matchup, but I don't think it's like a clear cut above like Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes. I don't think it's like he's like far and away
Hmm.
just based on his limitations as a defender. I think
That's
that,
true, right? Like he's a very one-way player, right?
yeah,
And his shooting comes and goes.
yeah,
Sometimes he's just, you know, killing it, and sometimes he's just
yeah.
whatever,
He,
shooting
he
long
loves
threes and
those
bricking it.
super long threes, and
Yeah.
that's a very high variance shot unless you're Steph Curry.
Hmm.
So the next game is against the Bucks, and we've been kind of heaping on the Bucks and saying like they're paper tigers and like why are they rated so high? I'm gonna say I think the Raptors are gonna win the home opener. I think that
Hmm.
they will defeat the Bucks. I would say 65-35. That's very confident, but I think that they will win that game.
Yeah, I think Giannis will have like a 40-point triple-double and we'll still win. Like,
I think that and the only person that puts kind of fear into me, I mean, there's two players, obviously, Giannis, no
yeah.
doubt about it, but Derry Bird, AJ Green, that guy is
Yeah.
like, he is the most hilarious type of player that I've ever seen. Literally a guy who only shoots threes. I
Yeah.
think that like it's so gimmicky, but it is cool. Like that is cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they're going to win that game. Then they play the Dallas Mavericks in Dallas, and this is part of their road trip. So the Texas trio, the Mavericks, the Spurs, and the Rockets. I think, unfortunately, maybe they'll be able to squeak one of them out. The Spurs are going to be good this year. I think that's pretty obvious. The Mavericks, I think, are going to be good this year. And the Rockets, I think, are going to be good this year. I think they go 0 for 3. I would be very happy with a one win out of those 3. I think that is going to be a tough 3 games.
I think every one of those matchups are awful for Scotty offensively.
Yes.
So I don't have high hopes for his start of the season because every one of those 3 teams, even Milwaukee, you've got Giannis guarding him, right? Like it's going to be a tough start to the season, and if he can rise to that occasion, then we are cooking, and that's great.
Yeah,
right.
Maybe not
But
the
yeah,
Rockets, because the Rockets have they have Amen, obviously, who can probably guard Scotty, but they're not as big as the Spurs and the Mavericks are, like AD and Wemby. Like we saw what happens when Scotty tries to go inside against Wemby, when anybody tries to go inside against Wemby, and AD is just like a beast. And Cooper Flag, I don't know how good he's going to be to start, but like he's also
he'll have
rim
it. He'll have
protector.
it defensively. You know, he's
But the Rockets, I could see Scotty having a good game against the Rockets. But you're right about
he likes
the
playing
first
KD, right? Like he likes to rise to the occasion for that.
Yeah. And then they play the Cavs. So the Cavs, obviously, Oh wait, so I misspoke. So I thought it was the Texas trio where they go on the road against all of the 3 teams. They'll be playing the Rockets at home. That makes me feel a little bit more confident, although they are a very good team and they have a lot of really good players, although they will be missing Fred VanVleet because he was injured. What happened to him? Like he was it a knee injury or some?
Tore his ACL.
ACL, yeah. So
ACL.
yeah. So it's, prayers up to my man, Fred. But it looks like their second year guard, who really had like a horrible start to his rookie season,
Reed Shepherd got cooked several times defensive wise, but hit a 3. It's hard to picture because he's like 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to picture like that's my height and just trying to play against these guys.
Yeah.
God.
Well, the people were thinking that he was going to be kind of like a Chris Paul type, where you're so good with your hands and positionally, and you think the game really well, and you're going to be able to play defense and like John Stockton and all those guys like that, those really smart, crafty players. But he's been a disappointment so far, but I guess he's going to have a big role with Fred VanVleet out. So we'll have to see how that one goes. So then they play the Cavs on the road, and that's just no bueno. I think that they are, the Cavs have size. They've got shooting. Thankfully, what's his name?
Garland?
No, not Garland.
Garland's not starting the season though.
No, he's not. But they're also missing the guy who pissed me off last season. Came off of the bench for them.
Ty Jerome?
Yeah, Ty Jerome. Who's
he's
also
gone. He's gone. He's in Memphis or something.
He's in
right?
Memphis. That's right.
Yeah.
But he's also out for the season.
Oh yeah.
And that's, or maybe not out for the season, but like he got an injury too.
Yeah.
And that's a very interesting thing to say, because then they play the Memphis Grizzlies at home on November the 2nd. And the Grizzlies have had the worst injury luck. I think that they play the Grizzlies, they play the Bucks, and I think that they will get a win, at least one win there. I think that those two teams, they can, I think they can beat the Grizzlies. I think they can beat the Bucks. And then obviously then they play the Hawks and the Sixers, but we're kind of getting out of the top 10 here. But it's a tough start to the season. It's not as bad as last season, especially as you continue to go down the list. Like they get the Nets, they get the Pacers, the Hornets, the Sixers. I don't know how good they are. Then the Wizards and the Nets. Like, so there's a lot of teams like after that. So the starting 10 games will be pretty rough. I expect them probably to be a bit underwater. Hopefully not too far underwater. Hopefully they're like 3-7 or something like that, or better. Because I think that they could start the season pretty poorly. But what's your take on the first 10 games?
I think there's a few teams in there where Ingram could really cook. I think I give us a real shot against the Cavs,
Okay.
because of their injuries, and I don't think they really have like I don't think DeAndre Hunter bugs Ingram. I don't think that's an issue. So if you're sliding Mobley up to play some defense on Ingram, then Scotty's got probably the easiest buckets he's ever gotten against the Cavs in his life, right? Typically, he's used to Mobley being glued to him.
Yeah.
So I think there's some room there to steal a win off of the Cavs right away. And I think a lot of these games are kind of, there's a chance to be 50-50, but I would not be shocked at a 3-7 start. I would not be surprised if fans were already in panic mode after the first 10 games, but it gets easier. It relieves a little bit.
Yeah.
In the first 20, we'll maybe see it even out.
Yeah.
But there's Go
sorry,
ahead.
continue.
No, I was just to say there's a couple of really good tests in there.
There's a bunch of really good tests, and then the schedule really lightens up.
Mhm.
I like, you're just looking at some of these games, like they have just the two home games against the Wizards and the Nets right after they play the 76ers away. Then they have the Hornets, the Sixers away, Hornets at home, Sixers away, Washington Wizards at home, Brooklyn Nets at home, and then the Cavs at home. But that could be a stretch where they just win most of the games, and like that could just be like a breath of fresh air, and they could get their wind in their sails and start, maybe surprising some teams. So I think it's a tough start to the season, but I don't think it's insurmountable. And I think that they've got a puncher's chance against a bunch of these teams, and especially tomorrow against the Hawks. I think that is going to be a great test. I think it's going to be really show where the Raptors are. Like if they get whitewashed, they get run out of the building, then I might set my sights a little bit lower than where I think that they are right now. Like that might be very like reactionary, but I think that the Hawks are kind of in their sphere of teams. Like I think they're not too separated in terms of talent. In any case, is there anything else that you feel like talking about today, Steve?
No, that would be all for that.
Okay. Well, I just like everybody. I mean, I am pumped, not just because the season is starting again, but I'm pumped because I think that this is a season where I could see the Toronto Raptors actually having a shot to make the playoffs. And as much as I like watching younger players develop, and as much as I think like the draft lottery is fun, and you could think about, oh, Cooper Flag, could he be part of the Toronto Raptors? Like we all daydreamed about that for, half a season.
Yeah.
You can't, nobody wants that multiple seasons in a row. Maybe you can have a little bit of fun with that for a couple of seasons. 3 seasons in a row? No, I don't think so. I think that everybody in Toronto wants to see a winner. And the Blue Jays have shown how exciting it is to be in the postseason. I want the Raptors to be back. Maybe not to the finals like how the Jays are, but I want some games that matter this season.
Yeah.
And that's why I am kind of cautiously optimistic and really excited to watch the Raptors play this year. So if you're like us, hit the subscribe button. You'll be getting tons of updates about the Toronto Raptors on this channel. Follow us on social media. Steve is at Raptors Shack on Twitter. You can find me at Raps Report. We have tons of stuff. We have a TikTok. We have Instagram. We have a Patreon. We have a Discord. I will put all of the links in the description. And when you watch this video afterwards, if you're watching it after we streamed it, then check the description. But if you're watching the stream right now, once the video ends, you can just go and check the description. You can get access to all of that good stuff. Even the Discord, come and join us and talk there. But that'll do it for this week. Thank you for tuning in to the Raptors Report podcast. I'm your host, Julian, joined with me by Steve.